This is Larry and William, and we're back. We were just discussing how Moed Mikra gets changed to ecclesia, which is the correct term in Greek, and suddenly it becomes called a church, named after the daughter of Helios, the sun god.
Which is incorrect.
Yeah, and has a divergent meaning all over the place. And we just went through two of the Moed Mikra. Most people are well aware that Yahowah acted as the Passover lamb or the Pesach lamb. What they aren't aware of is that he fulfilled matzah the next day. And then the third day, because he told them they needed to watch 3 days. What happened there, William?
Third day, well, we're adopted into his family.
Well, that's what it means. But the third day, didn't his nephesh or his soul marry back up with the set-apart spirit?
Yes.
And that's what rose. He wasn't physical at that point. There was never a physical resurrection.
No,
there was the spirit and the soul, which was an image. That's why he was walking through walls and teleporting 20 miles away and things like this. The one thing all the witness writings have collectively agree on, and that's that nobody recognized him.
Right.
Yeah, it's because that body was gone. He was an image now. He was an image, and it was a collection of his nephesh and that set-apart spirit. And that's what happened. So those were the fulfillment of the 3 days that he told the rabbis they were going to get to witness.
Right. What do you suppose happened to his body?
I don't know. And it's not real important what happens to a body. That's another myth. I intend to be cremated, by the way. So there won't be any big expense or burden on my family. I don't want any clergymen sitting there lying over my dead body.
Well, that's what I believe happened to his body. He was the Passover lamb, and that's what we do with the Passover lamb. We take the remains and we burn it. Right? So
well, that may have well been what happened. It's so unimportant what happens to the body. It's never really mentioned. Same thing with Moshe.
Yeah, but you hear a lot of, especially Christians, say that that body rose again, and that's a lie. It wasn't that body.
Well, they would have recognized him. He would have been all beat up, but they would have recognized him.
Right. I mean,
in fact, that would have made it more recognizable.
Right.
If you watched somebody you knew and walked with for 3.5 years, somebody you loved very much, get beat to death, and then the next day they showed up all beaten up and was talking to you in that exact form, you would know who they were, wouldn't you? Yeah. I suspect all the disciples would have too, but yet not one of them knew who he was until he talked with them. Then they really understood. Prior to that moment, they really didn't understand what he was saying he was going to do. Well, think about it. Shimon, copy edited to Peter, Shimon means he listens. Even a guy named He Listens didn't quite comprehend what was going to go on. Right? He was trying to stop it.
Yeah.
Remember when he drew out his sword and cut the guy's ear off?
Right. Yeah.
But Yahusha was there to fulfill those days. He wasn't there to stop anything. He was there to trudge forward, carrying that upright pole himself, remember? And that's after taking a beating of 40 lashes. And those things had metal that were sharp on the other end. So he was basically filleted alive. And those were the strokes due to the family. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, he came to do the work of Yah. He came. He did it.
Right. And that's the point here. So day 3, we have the fulfillment of Bikurim, or first fruits.
Right.
Now, what do all these mean? Well, Passover, or Pesach, is that's what makes us eternal. That's what leads to eternity. That's the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we go down the path, matzah perfects us. Because nothing less than perfection is going to be around Yahowah.
Right.
He's not going to put up with it for eternity. Now, that's what goes on here on this planet all day long. And then the next day, we're adopted into his family. Now, 7 sevens from there, 49 days later, we have what's called Shavuot. Today, many people call it by a Greek name, Pentecost, which means 50.
Right.
And so that's the day that we are enriched and empowered.
By the Ruach.
Yeah, by the set-apart spirit, which was what was all over Yahusha, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's Yahweh's spirit doing all the work the whole time.
Right. She's the, most people probably would know her as the comforter that he spoke of sending.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's fine. Well, I think most people today call it the Holy Spirit, which is something they shouldn't be doing.
No.
And so, so we have 5 benefits that are laid out in these 4, Moed Mikra. We'll go backward on Shavuot.
Mm-hmm.
That's the day everybody's meeting and we're empowered and enriched.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back to the day that his soul met back up with the set-apart spirit, and we have Bikurim, or firstborn fruits. That's the day we're adopted into the family.
Right.
We go back one more step. That's the day his soul was in Sheol, serving as a guilt offering and acting as a ransom for the rest of the family. Right?
Right.
And so that's the fulfillment of matzah, or unleavened bread. And where did it all start? That narrow doorway called Pesach, or Passover, where he took the strokes due the family.
That's right.
And so, these were the fulfillment of the Moed Mikra, which happened to be in the heart of the Torah. It's called Torah.
Mm-hmm.
So right there in the heart of the Torah, Yahowah lays out his plan that he says will be used to solve all disputes. And what he's really saying there, I think, and this, those of us who understand it, who care enough to learn it and understand it, and believe me, it takes a lot of years of looking, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm still learning and understanding. I mean, I don't think you ever stop.
No, I don't either, but at the same time, to get to the point of understanding the Moed Mikra and what they're all about and how they're literally fulfilled in human history,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very big deal, because that is the path. That's the path that he said very few people will find. I can say this, I've found the path. I have no intentions of veering off that path. And I do know this. I know that the righteous man's path is attacked on all sides. Back when I was a Christian, back when I was still in Babylon,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that.
Same here.
I thought what most Christians think. I thought, well, people that aren't Christians are going to attack me. Okay. Well, that's one side. But the righteous path is attacked on all sides.
That's right.
I've been attacked by rabbinic Jews, Messianic Jews, atheists, secular humanists, Christians, and Muslims,
Wow.
and New Agers and spiritualists. I've been attacked by them all. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, and then some.
And then
You know, and,
yeah, I probably left some out myself. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know, that is the path. And Yahowah is a real good communicator.
Right.
Yahowah lays it out to us. Now, we can choose the traditions of men, and the very same men that corrupted ecclesia to church, or we can choose to follow the words that Yahowah laid out. And nothing changed.
No.
Let's go right back to Nachmeyah and see what he said. Here's the 6 names: Yoed, Padya, Kolyah, Masiyah, Yishayael, and Yashayah. Yahweh's assembly meetings serve to redeem and ransom those who listen to Yahweh's voice. The Masiyah performs Yahweh's business. The mighty one, existing as a man, is how Yahweh saves.
Wow.
What does Yahweh call his scriptures as they
His word,
you know?
his Torah.
So if we're going to listen to his word, shouldn't we be listening to his words as opposed to religious copy edits?
We should
That were clearly intentional.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And in Dode, Psalms 119, verse 44, Dode, which has been corrupted to David, says, "I will observe your Torah continually and consistently, always and forever, as an eternal witness." As an eternal witness. His Torah never left. Yahusha never did away with it. His Torah will be with us forever.
Welcome back to Shattering Myths. This is Larry and William, and we're sitting in here for Yada, who is on a much deserved vacation. And I want to take this opportunity to throw a few kudos Yada's way. A lot of you listening to him may not be aware, but he is one of the few self-made billionaires that was not a member of the club. One time, Yada's company was worth $3.5 billion. I think he had some 6,000 employees. Is that right, William, or do you know?
I'm not too sure, no.
It's something like that. I think it was 6,000 employees. Yet, upon learning the truth, Yada kind of walked out of Babylon, had the powers that be sort of roast him alive, if you will. And he's dedicated his entire life now to, as much as any man I've ever known, spending his own dollar and getting Yahweh's words out to people like me and William and his audience. He's written several books. He charges for none of them. He spends his own money to keep them online and spends his own time constantly keeping them updated. You can find them at introdogod.org, yadayah.com, questioningpaul.com, and prophetofdoom.net. And I would encourage anybody who wants to see Yahweh's words in raw form, taking from extant material. And when I say extant, I mean the oldest material available in the world today. Because you will find that Yahweh's words do not match words that we see in popular religious material. And I can prove that. And so I'm going to take this opportunity, William, just to prove some of that out. You know, in Paleo Hebrew, and that's the language, uncorrupted language, that Yahowah used to share his words with us. A word can have more than a couple of meanings, depending on how it's laid out. And I'm going to give you an example. Have you ever heard the psalm, I don't even know off the top of my head, I could look it up, where it says, "The beginning of all knowledge is the fear of the Lord." You ever hear that one?
Okay, right. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Except, when they write that in there, yira, and that's where they get it. Yira can mean one of two things. It can mean fear, or it can mean respect.
Okay.
I think what Yahowah wrote there, I know for a fact, he wrote, "The beginning of knowledge is the respect of Yahowah." I mean, Yahowah doesn't expect a lot out of us, but if we respect him, we're going to take his words seriously, aren't we?
Absolutely.
I mean, when you were growing up in Tom Hendricks's house, if he asked you to do something, you'd probably better go do it.
Okay.
Okay? When your father told you something out of the bottom of his heart, did you believe him when you were growing up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's what Yahowah said. Tom Hendricks, by the way, is the opposite. He was an atheist, my dad, and he pretty much ruled through fear. Okay?
Okay.
Yahowah said this, "For so much as these people approach me with their mouths and their lip service, yet they remove their hearts from me. Their fear, yira, or you could say respect, but I don't believe that Yahowah is going to say their respect of me. I think he means fear here. In fact, I'm 100% on this. Their fear toward me exists because it is taught from man-made traditions learned by rote." Rote is the constant reciting, usually of religious material. Welcome back to Shattering Myths. And today we hope to shatter the myth right now that the Torah has been done away with. Hopefully we hope to dig in there on the Moed Mikra, William.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
That the heart of the Torah
I like to also mention that there is no new covenant, and we'll prove that here in a second.
Well, and so let's go back to Isaiah 29:13-14. It's really Yahowah saves, which is Yashayahu.
Mm-hmm.
Then Yahowah said, "For as much as these people approach me with their mouths and their lip service, yet they have removed their hearts from me, their fear toward me exists because it is taught from man-made traditions learned by rote." Now, I wanted to look and see, well, where does fear come from? And there was this this prophet for Yahowah. His name means salvation, or he saves. Hosea, better known as Hosea today.
Okay.
And here, let's see who's behind all this fear and trembling. And in Hosea 31:10, he tells us who. When Ephraim spoke, there was trembling and terror. He exalted himself in Yisrael, but through the Lord, Baal. And he did wrong and he died. Wow. So, Yahweh is saying that all fear of him is a man-made tradition learned by rote. Now, why do you think it is people run around quoting the Psalm all day long? I've seen it parroted 1,000 times, that the beginning of knowledge is the fear of the Lord.
I think it's a control mechanism by priests and pastors and so forth.
Wow. So when we pay our taxes to the IRS, do we do that because we're hoping to help the guy next door pay his electric bill? Or we do that at the point of a gun, out of fear?
Well, I'd say it's more a fear thing. Most people feel like if they don't pay their taxes, they're gonna be incarcerated.
Yeah, or have everything taken from them,
right.
Or both. And so now we have the same problem with religion. I've found some common ground here. Welcome to Babylon, William. It's fear that makes government and religions tick.
Right.
Yeah, there we go. We can see who's behind the fear. When Ephraim spoke, there was trembling and terror. He exalted himself in Israel, but through the Lord, Baal. And he did wrong and he died. Hosea 13:1.
Wow.
So Yahweh is saying, don't fear me. This is a man-made tradition. It's learned by religious recitings. Don't do it. Don't fear me. You got nothing to fear from me. But Lord Baal, he operates on fear, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
And they took Yahweh's name and they replaced it with Baal's moniker, didn't they? 7,000 times they did that.
That's right.
They replaced his name with who?
They
Lord.
put the title of the Lord there, which is a title designated to Hasatan.
Yeah, now let's stay right in Hosea. Okay, and I know this is something you're very familiar with.
Okay.
And this is DSS. That means Dead Sea Scrolls, Qumran Scrolls. There's nothing older on the planet. And Wah, it shall be Haya, the basis of Yahweh's name, existence, in Ba, that specific Ho Day Yom prophetically declares, Naum, Yahweh, you shall encounter me, that's Korah, as an individual, and encounter and welcome me, Korah, as an individual. Yeshi, and you will not call me, Lo Korah, Bali, my Lord, ever again. Behold, for I will remove Wasur, accordingly, F, the Lord's Ha-Balaam, names Shem, out of Min, her mouth, Pei, and Wah, they shall not be remembered, recalled, or mentioned, Lo Zakar, by, which is Ba, their name, Shem, ever again. Od. Now, I'm going to read that without the Paleo-Hebrew in there. And by the way, my pronunciations aren't good. I know what the words mean, but I don't enunciate Paleo-Hebrew well, but I doubt if anybody does. And it shall be in that specific day, prophetically declares Yahweh, you shall encounter and welcome me as an individual. I'm going to stop right there. Pray tell, Yahowah is not a religious deity.
No, he's not.
He doesn't
He's
want
dead.
to lord over you.
Right.
He wants to be welcomed on a one-to-one, first-name basis. Wow.
That's right.
What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, it goes back to the fear thing, control mechanism. I mean, I really feel like that's why the New Testament exists, or the so-called New Testament. This whole misconception of a new covenant. You know, these are all lies, and these lies were perpetrated to control the masses. I mean,
Yeah, well, they're misdirections and they're confusion. Right. That's how Mikre gets turned to ecclesia, which it should have stayed in, and then ecclesia gets turned to church, which has nothing to do with it at all.
Right.
Now, since this is a Torah hour here, I'm going to go to Barashith.
Okay.
Means in the beginning. Today, you know it is Genesis. And it's 17:17. And this encapsulates the covenant. And when I get done here, I'm going to ask you if anybody can be adopted into the covenant. Is that all right, William?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, here's Yahowah, and he's talking about Sarah. You know, Sarah was Abraham's wife.
Okay.
He says, I will kneel down and bless her. Okay, so we've got Yahowah, and he's going to kneel down and bless. So he's actually going out of his way to kneel down to help us out. In religion, don't they have it the other way around? Aren't you kneeling down and supposedly helping him?
Right, right.
Does Yahowah need your help, William?
No, he doesn't. No, I think if he created the universe, he definitely doesn't need my help.
I know he doesn't need my help. You know, but what does he want?
He wants family.
He wants a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a family relationship, absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Because Berith, which is what he calls the covenant, is based on Be'eth, and that means home and family.
Mm-hmm.
I will kneel down and I will bless her. Moreover, I will give you a son from her. Now, at this point, we find absolute confirmation that the Berith covenant relationship is a relaxed affair. You know how I know that? Because this is what Abraham did when Yahowah made a prophetic promise that Abraham's wife, who was 90 years old now, Sarah, is going to have a baby. And this is what he said. A son born to a man who is 100, Sarah, a woman who is 90 years old, shall have a child? Question mark. Yahowah, who was incidentally the creator of the universe and the architect of life, made a prophetic promise, and Abraham fell on his face right here in Barashith 17:3-4. Then Abraham fell on his face, and Elohim spoke to him. And excuse me, that's just before. I screwed up here. Just give me a break here. Abraham fell on his face and began laughing and muttering to himself that they're going to have a child.
That's pretty relaxed.
Yeah. So Yahowah makes a promise to Abraham, and he's talking about how they're going to have a kid. I'm 100, and Sarah's 90 years old, who's no doubt probably seen better days. And what does Abraham do? He doubles over and falls down on his face with laughter. And they named the first child of the covenant Yitzhak, which means laughter.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Now, that's Torah.
Right, right.
And Torah doesn't mean a bunch of laws. It means taking guidance and direction.
That's right.
You know, there's a whole lot of words that make up the word Torah, and none of them mean law. It's written instruction, teaching, direction, and guidance. But a translation will always say law. And that's like turning respect to fear.
Exactly.
Torah becomes law. There's a word that means listen. It's shamar. It means understand. It means pay attention to.
That's right.
And that will always be translated obey. So Torah becomes law. Respect becomes fear. Paying attention becomes obey. And a word, Yahowah, which is found in 180 places where you see bow down and worship, means to make a declaration. Now this is Barashith 17:3-4.
Okay.
Now, why do you suppose that happened there? He sees the creator of the universe, probably light coming off of him. He can see the power. He sees he's real.
Right.
And the first thing he does is fall on his face.
Right. Right.
Now the next time he falls on his face, it's to laugh at Yahowah, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. That's because he knows him by then.
Right.
It's hard to see up when you're looking down, which is why Yahowah's directions are the opposite of Catholic and Islamic prostrations. He said, "Here I am, look at me, get up off your face." Men are prone to fall down. And that's really been the conditioning, or to bow down. The Yahowah's people, they stand upright. He says all over.
And to answer your question, we all have an opportunity to be his children. Every single race from every single place on this planet. There's, there's no particular race other than the Israelites, right? Yahudim. I mean, they were chosen to be the light of the world, but, they dropped the ball, and we all have a chance to be family. So I think that's what you wanted to ask me before. We can all become Yisrael.
Or Yehuda.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very simple. We get adopted into the family, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
And how do we know that?
How do we know that? Because we observe his Torah.
Well, we know it because that's what Yahowah's words say.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking a stab at this.
Right.
Or hoping by accident that I might be right. He makes it very clear that there's a way for any of us to join the family covenant. And that's basically what it is that we're doing. It's a small group. It's not going to be popular. You have to expose a lot of religious myths on the way. You have to overcome them yourself. You have to walk away from them. And part of what we do every day is explain why religious literature and why religious traditions are wrong.
Right, right. For example, like, I mentioned earlier that there is no new covenant. There's only one covenant. And in Yahowah 31:31, it says, for many, the renewing of the covenant begins with these words, behold, the day is coming, declares Yahowah, that I will make a renewed, which is chadash, prepared and restored covenant with the household of Israel and with the family of Yahudah. And so it never mentions Christians there or Muslims or Catholics
or religions at all. He doesn't say rabbinic Jews, does he?
Right. No religion, but he mentions, Israel and Yahudah, and like you said, we're adopted into the family. So, for those who feel like, you don't have to observe the Torah, you're wrong, because the Torah will be written in our heart for eternity. It becomes a part of our inner being. It's sewn into the fabric of our inner being. And so, Larry, it's a pleasure doing the show with you, buddy.